Hi, this is Nick Green, Hollywood on Trail. So today's video is a little different, maybe a bit more somber. But by the end of it, we're going to know all about the dangers of hiking on the Appalachian Trail. This isn't meant to be insensitive in any way, because it's easy to say numbers and forget you're talking about actual people's lives, including yours and mine. So we're going to focus on the facts and the stats and hopefully get a better idea of how dangerous or not dangerous the Appalachian Trail really is. And by the end of this, hopefully you've gained some information about how to stay safe and enjoy its beauty. Okay, right out of the gate, we're going to talk about it. Murders on trail. Absolutely tragic. Hikers doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing when something devastating happens. The first known murder on trail took place in 1974. To date, there have been 13 total murders recorded. That breaks down to about 1 every 4 years or so. And with roughly 3 million hikers on trail every year, that means there's about a 0.00003% chance of being murdered on the Appalachian Trail. To put that in perspective, in 2020, the year I hiked the AT, the FBI states that there were over 21,000 murders in the United States. That's 7.8 homicides for every 100,000 people, which is a 0.0078% chance of being murdered. Clearly more than on the AT, but also very low. I personally live on Venice Beach in California, and I find it way more dangerous to be here than I ever felt on the AT. Now, obviously, nobody sets out to have this happen to them. There are some things you can do to mitigate the already very low risk of this happening on trail. Hiking in groups, having people know where you are, and most importantly, trusting your gut. If something seems off, trust your instincts, and if you can, just hike on. Don't worry about offending people. You need to put your safety first. So if you can, just hike right on out of there. Most of the trail these days has service. So if you feel even a little bit threatened by somebody, please call the authorities and let them know immediately. Injuries and mishaps account for the majority of deaths on trail. Whether it's falling or drowning or getting lost or anything similar. So unfortunately this does happen, but it's still a very low risk as well. Most estimates put it around 2 or 3 hikers per year. Always having friends on trail know where you are, especially if you're a solo hiker, will help you in this regard. Bears. It's estimated that there are over 700 bears along the Appalachian Trail. Now, while statistically it's pretty rare to see one, I personally saw about 10 or so on my THRU-HIKE, which I thought was extremely lucky because there's a lot of people who never see any, and I thought they were absolutely majestic. Since the year 2000, there have been 2 fatal bear attacks on the AT. So, with the claims of there being 3 million people on trail every year, that means there's about a 1 in 30 million chance of you being fatally attacked by a bear. A couple of things you can do to mitigate the risk of a bear attack is to make plenty of noise so bears always know where you are. They will typically choose a road less traveled. They don't want to be next to you. They're pretty afraid. That was my experience anyway. As soon as I made a little bit of noise, they were out of there. Of course, never feed or approach the bears. Don't cook any food in or near your tent. Store your food properly. Keep your campsite clean. If a bear approaches your campsite, scream and yell and make as much noise as possible to scare the bear away. And if it doesn't work, if the bear remains, then you slowly and calmly leave the campsite for your own safety. And if you're ever attacked by a black bear, do not play dead. Fight back with all your might and with anything you have available. Hopefully it'll realize that this is not a fight worth having and it'll leave you alone. Snakes. There are 2 types of venomous snakes on the AT. Copperheads and rattlesnakes. I saw a ton of them on my THRU-HIKE. I actually almost stepped on a lot of them as well. So they are wildly prevalent. For me, I saw most of them in the Pennsylvania area. And while I couldn't find any cases of a hiker being fatally wounded by a snake bite, I did find a few about a hiker's dog being fatally wounded. So if you're traveling with your pet, please be aware of the dangers of venomous snakes on trail. If you happen to be bitten by a venomous snake, the first thing you do is relax. Just stay calm. The faster your heart beats, the quicker the venom is spread throughout your body. Then wash the wound with clean water if you have it, and wrap a light bandage around it until you can seek professional help. Know that copperhead and rattlesnake bites are highly treatable when handled properly. So, carrying a gun. Should you or shouldn't you? I have definitely seen people with guns out there, and you are lawfully allowed to carry it if you do so in compliance with state and federal laws, but you also have to know what those laws are because they change from state to state. You're not always on trail. Sometimes you go into town. And when you go into town in Tennessee, there are different laws than if you go into town in New York. So if this is something you're considering, please just check on the state's laws and make sure you're compliant with all of them. For me, and I'd assume most thru-hikers, all this really sounds like is added weight in our packs. And considering everything we just went over about the percentages and chances of something bad actually happening to you, personally, this isn't worth it for me. I rarely felt in danger on the Appalachian Trail. I saw bears and snakes and met some questionable characters and climbed over some really treacherous terrain, and still, I felt safer out there than I typically do on any random American street. And if I ever did sense a little bit of danger, I did my best to just hike away from it. There were solo hikers and female solo hikers and elderly hikers and everybody in between. And we all found community in one another and safety in that as well. Now, clearly some people are put into the awful situations that they're not necessarily able to just hike away from. And it's terrible. All we can do is the best we can to be as safe as we can while still doing the things we love. So in that regard, just get out there and remember, if you can't carry it in your pack or in your soul, you don't need it.